Okay, Friday forecast time. It's time to talk about Northwestern, which is thankfully right here upon us because nobody wants to talk about Minnesota, but I guess we have to before we move forward. How quickly can they flush that out?
Well, I think playing it on Friday, you kind of have that extra 24 hours on top of the normal 24-hour rule. So you would hope when they took the field Sunday to kind of begin the week here for Northwestern, it's out of them. And I do think Matt Rule has set the tone at the beginning of the week, just what this week needs to be. Look, there are no easy games. We all know that. And for whatever reason, this team just did not come out last week, from the coaches to the players to all levels, not ready to play. And that just can't happen again.
Yeah, Matt Rule very feisty on Monday, but said, let's update people. Rocco Spindler had surgery Sunday. It's just a pain tolerance thing for him. Elijah Pritchett will be back. And defensively, Vincent Shavers, who had surgery a week ago, is still working his way back. So this is a banged-up football team with a lot of moving parts and question marks, but Matt Rule making zero excuses.
Yeah, Malcolm Hartzog, as we know, has been out since the first 2 games of the year. But honestly, Andy, they haven't been that hurt all year. This is probably the most they've dealt with during the regular season. But getting Pritchett back should make a difference on the line. Spindler, you worry about that because it sounded like a significant injury. And yes, he'll go, but how much effectiveness will he lose? And what's the pain tolerance? And, what's the plan if he can't go? I mean, will it be Tyler Knack back at right guard, or is there another plan that they could try out this week, knowing the situation where, I think last week at Minnesota, you weren't really necessarily prepared for what was going to happen. I would hope that they might have a better plan B, just in case. And maybe that still is Tyler Knack.
Yeah, and Matt Rule did say when asked upon it, he says, hey, our starters are our starters. That's assuming if the starters are healthy, though, right?
Right, and effective at the same point, because we saw it with Vincent Shavers on defense. Yeah. He tried to go, couldn't go. In his place, though, Marquise Watson-Trent actually had a good game. I thought statistically and grade-wise, snap-wise, he gave them something, which was one of the few real positives I think you could take away from the game last week.
How do you protect Dylan Better?
It's a lot of things. I mean, he's got to get rid of it quicker. I think Dana needs to call more run plays. Dana Holgerson. I felt like when you look at it, Andy, this really got my attention. There were 16 tailback runs. 13 of the 16 happened on first downs. There were only 3 tailback runs on downs 2, 3, or 4 the whole game. And I think that right there is very telling. You have to create more balance to the offense and not be very predictable. Well, pretty predictable when you know all the runs are on first down and all the pass plays are second and third down. And I think they've got to figure out a way to commit to running it more. And I'm not saying they got to run it 40, 50 times, but 16 tailback carries, not enough. It probably needs to be closer to 25, 30 if you're being honest.
Yeah, and you asked Coach Rule on Monday about committing to the run, and it's actually a poignant question because, you're thinking this is going to be a smash-mouth game, and Nebraska comes out, first series of the game, pass, 3 and out.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson didn't touch the ball until the second series of the game. And when you size into that 9-sack number and look at the called pass plays last week, a sack happened almost 30% of the pass plays.
Crazy. I
mean, when you break it down to dropbacks to sacks, and that is just a wild number. I don't know if we've ever seen a ratio like that. And how do you stop that? You get rid of the ball quicker or you run the ball more. And I think Nebraska's got to figure out ways to protect this whole line, protect Dylan Raiola. The run game then will help open things up. And I think they've got to go back to that this week. They can't rely on being essentially a 70% pass to 30% run team.
Yeah, Matt Rule also saying Ja'Cory Barney has to get more involved. So we'll see how that progresses as the week comes out. Northwestern, what do you make of this crew? I think everybody had these guys written off like the cellar dwellers, and yet they are one of the big surprises of the Big Ten so far. They're playing some good football.
Yeah, they're almost another version of Minnesota or Iowa. They're going to play smart, sound defense. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to be efficient on third down opportunities. And I think when you look at their point totals, that gets your attention. They're not giving up much. So this is a game that's probably going to be in the 20s at most. I have a hard time seeing Nebraska score over 30 points in a game like this. So if you can get to 24 or 27 points, I think that's a good number this week, just knowing how Northwestern's going to play and what they've done in past games. They've won 3 straight Big Ten games, Andy, and 4 straight overall.
That's pretty amazing how those stretch. They've beaten UCLA, Penn State, and now Purdue. That Purdue game, they shut out the Boilermakers 19-0, and you know how difficult it is to shut out a conference opponent. It just doesn't happen often.
No, and you know, Purdue is a team that nearly or should have beat Minnesota
a week before.
the previous week. And I think that's what's scary about the Big Ten. Anything can happen, and you look across the board, the margin of a win versus a loss is so thin. I mean, Maryland should have won. UCLA had a chance to. They didn't do it. Notre Dame obviously handled USC, but that was a game. And you just go down the line. I mean, there's not a lot of predictability other than Wisconsin is a team that has obviously struggled. Penn State even had a chance to win on the road at Iowa and came up short.
Yeah, in that Purdue game, Northwestern held the Boilermakers just 305 offensive yards. So you know that the Wildcats are going to come in here. It's going to be an 11 a.m. kick. How important is it for Nebraska to get this crowd involved early and get this team started early, even with the early kickoff?
It's going to be a grumbly crowd.
Yes, it will be. And the first sign of trouble, you can hear about it,
I always joke, it's that game where you can hear like the helicopter or the plane like above the stadium. If it gets really quiet, you just all you can hear is the plane.
Yep.
You got to bring some energy.
Absolutely.
And you got to get those students involved. I already think it will be hard to get your normal student contingent for an early kick. You got to play well now to keep those kids in the game and the crowd in the game. Your worst case scenario is a poor start to this game. And then the place gets a little grumbly.
Yep.
You need to come out with energy, run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, give Emmett Johnson the first play of this game.
Yep.
Let him get a couple plays going. Get the balance going so you're not so predictable.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, the grumbly 11 a.m. start. When I told my daughters who were both UNL students, they went, "Oh," that was their reaction. "Oh, Dad, an 11 a.m. start." But they'll better be ready on Saturday because the Huskers will need them. How do you think they're going to react to this? This is a big week. This is a gut check week. Even Emmett Johnson said it after the game in Minneapolis.
They're all big, as we know, at Nebraska.
But this one feels a little bigger.
This one, knowing the opportunity with 2 in a row at home, your next game's at night.
Yep.
So you can kind of flip things if you play well and all of a sudden get USC here at night. And I think Matt Rule recognizes that, understands that, how big this moment is in the season to kind of get it back where you want it to go. Because I read the stat, Matt Rule teams are 1-9 in games where they're trying to get to a 6th win at Nebraska.
Crazy. That is crazy.
I mean, you go back to year 1, year 2, and now last week.
They'll get another chance.
1-9 in games when they're trying to get the 6th win.
That's that bowl eligibility bugaboo. We'll see if they can do it on Saturday when they take on Northwestern. It's an 11 a.m. kick. It's on FS1.